My nose is runny. It's a winter thing. Hello, everybody. Perfect timing. Robin, thanks for the email. Oh, you're welcome. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you guys are here. Oh my gosh. Well, happy new year. Happy January. And you know what? This is funny because this is one of those it's completely rare that I am happy that it's January and that I'm enjoying myself. And today I truly am. I don't know what it is. I truly think part of it is that I have like corrected my vitamin D. So, welcome to our call today. I am so excited. We're going to chat all about the overcoming obstacles, overcoming the things that are hard when we are looking at decluttering, because so many people they run into these really common roadblocks, and we can overcome a lot of those. So if you're here, I'd love for you to put in the comments where you're from, what you're drinking right now. I have a delicious Paris afternoon blend from Murchie's Tea here in BC. Mm, it is delicious, delicious. So I am so excited that you're here. Hello, Kim. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you are here. And I am just going to triple check something here. Just make sure I let people know about the live, because I don't want people missing out. This is going to be a super duper fun time. Amber in Connecticut, creme brulee latte from Starbucks. Oh, that is such a good one. Yum, yum, yum. We have got Susan from Connecticut drinking an iced coffee. Hello. Amelie says hello. Amelie, she's in our membership group, and I love when my members show up in these live streams. It is just super duper fun. And yeah, how are you feeling? Tell me in the comments how you're feeling this year about the about January, about how decluttering has gone or not. Like, what are you focused on? What are you um okay, there we go. What are you What's bothering you? What are you loving? Like, tell me all of the things. I am just super duper excited for us to chat. And it's funny because my friend Lindsay and she does my podcast with me, and we were chatting yesterday, and we did a podcast episode, and she was saying how she had done some decluttering, and she had a bag in her car, and she was just like, "Yep, I've just got this bag in my car, and how can you help me like get it to where it needs to go?" And then her husband or her fiance had posted a thing on, or sent her a thing, and it said, "I'm going to declutter and then drive around with this in my car forever." So I think a lot of us can relate to that. And I will tell you what I said. Oh, there we go. She is here, which is hilarious. Hello, Lindsay. I'm just like completely calling you out. Let me see who's here. Sana is here, eating dinner and drinking water. We have got Anne from Maine. Nancy's here from North Carolina. Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. Yay! Oh my gosh, it's so great to see all of you and eating a Nutella bowl. Well, I'm going to need to know a whole lot more about that, because that sounds delicious and amazing. So here's what I told Lindsay. She had said, like, what can I do about driving around with the stuff in my car? And I said, like, for me, my brain, I am so forgetful, so forgetful. And one of the things that I do is I will just say, I will have to send a reminder to myself. So I would send a reminder for myself, and I would say I was going grocery shopping on Saturday, I would put a reminder on Friday or like early Saturday morning, and I would say, put bag in front seat, or even just part of the stuff in the front seat, just to like trigger your brain, so that you're like, oh, okay. Like I definitely need to remember to do this, to take this in. And then what you do is when you're going out and about, that is going to annoy you in your front seat. You are going to remember every time you get back in your car, you're going to see that there. So then what you can do is just go ahead and drop it off at the donation center, because for me, I 100% just need so many reminders. I am forgetful, and that's okay. Like, I now have just embraced it, and that's just what I do. Oh my gosh. Hello from Jersey. Let me tell you about this. I got injured yesterday, and this is actually going to play a little bit of a part in story I'm going to tell you guys. Um, I was cooking some chicken and I put it in the oven. I use like the pan, I sear it on the stove and then I put it in the oven, and it's great to cook it that way. Like, it's delicious. And I put on like one of those of glove type things, and I just reached in and I grabbed it. And for whatever reason, like it just like completely transferred the heat and burned my hand. And I like dropped it in there, and I just went and like was like, and my husband, he's super sick. Like, he's got the flu. So he's just like sitting in the living room. I didn't even bother saying anything. I like drag the chair over from the table because I'm so short. And I'm like up looking for this like polysporin that has lidocaine in it because it was like so painful. And I then was like, I had ice, and it took hours. Like, I had to take Tylenol and Advil, which is like in the emergency department, because I'm a nurse. That's what we give people, is Tylenol and Advil, because together they're just like so absolutely wonderful. So it was a very painful night. And this is actually one of the things it reminded me of something when it comes to decluttering. Let's see. Susan says, since normally very dysfunctional, but since I found you and Cass, I've been working on decluttering over the weekend, as well as half hour every night after work. Yay! Oh my gosh, I love the consistency. Good for you. Good for you. Yes, injuries, right? Hurt your fingers. And it's funny because you got a decluttering injury. Um, Hurting your hand, it's just and my right hand, it's like it was right. Thankfully, I was almost done dinner. My husband, like, when I finally told him I had burnt myself, he was, he of course he helped me, and he took like the chicken out of the oven when it was done and cut it all up and whatever. Like, it was fine. But so this brings me a very interesting point, because so often, the burn made me think of two things. Number one, when we are doing anything in life, it takes something more than the discomfort of the situation we're in to make a change. So I picked up that pan, and my brain was like, you need to put this down. You are getting burned. And that's exactly what I did. I put it down. And so I dropped it because the pain was worse than holding on would definitely be a bad thing. And that's what a lot of people do is that they're living in this environment that is cluttered and bothering them, but they are nervous about the discomfort of decluttering. So they don't declutter. They just continue to live in this environment. And it's funny because I did a podcast with Lisa from Farmhouse on Boone, and it's live today. You should totally check it out. And we were talking about how when you are living in an environment that is bothering you, how we will just like continue going through that stage for a while until it's just like too much is too much. And women in particular, there are studies that have shown that the cortisol levels of women are higher in a cluttered environment compared to that of men. So men are not bothered. And like, it's a full study, and they did before and after and all of these things. But the clutter bothers women more. And you only have one life. And I believe that the term food, water, and shelter, which of course are like the three things we need to survive. Of course, as humans, we need much more than that, like love and all of the things. And that's where Lindsay can help you with her relationship coaching. But we need food, water, and shelter. And shelter is your home. Shelter is your environment. So that is why it is so important to make sure that your environment is serving you. if like you should be, maybe you're not, but maybe you're working on it, be eating nutritious food. Nutritious food is helping you to be healthy. Your environment should be clean or I would say decluttered, but being in an environment full of clutter is not healthy. It just isn't healthy. You can say it doesn't bother me, but deep down it does bother you on some level. So, and I also invite you to put some questions in the comments because I completely forgot to add the put a call out on YouTube and in my Facebook group asking for questions. Yes. So, Darlene, you bring up a very good point. And that is what bothers me the most is when I'm looking for something and it's so cluttered. I can't find it. And then it shows up a week later. That is was one of the hugest things that bothered me. And even to this day, my family, they will come in and grab my stuff because they know where it is because I keep things where they go. And it's a bunch of dudes. So you know how they are. They can just pick stuff up and move it around. Elizabeth says, I realized when I couldn't find some decorations that I decluttered my holiday decor very well last year. I was fine without it. Who knew? I love that. And it's funny because I am minimalist light. Let me see, is Elisa here? She helped come up with that term. That when I was decorating for Christmas, so I am minimalist light. So I do have some stuff. Like I have 3 Christmas trees, I will admit it. That is, like, my guilty pleasure, and the trees weren't the problem, but I was like, there still is some Christmas decor we could definitely get rid of, and that I love that you did that, Elizabeth. I think that's so good. And then the other thing I wanted to say, like, that the burn in my head made me think of, that in the emergency department, when somebody has an injury, you've heard of the 0 to 10 scale or the 1 to 10 scale where we say, like, on a scale of 0 to 10, what is your pain? And, like if somebody has, like, 10 out of 10 chest pain, we're like, oh my gosh, or they've broken their leg and they're like, it's like a solid 8 or 9. And we're like, okay. And, it helps us gauge like how serious something is or whatever. But once we start treating that pain, we want to get that pain down to about a 2, 3, or 4. So the point is that there's still going to be a little bit of pain, and it's the same with my hand yesterday. Like I had my hand on ice for like 2 hours, and I was waiting and waiting for the Advil and the Tylenol to kick in, and I would take it off, and it would be like I couldn't go like 20 seconds without putting it back on the ice. And then finally, I started being like, okay, like I made it like 5 minutes, and then I thought, okay, like now my pain is at about a 4. And it's like that when you're decluttering. Like, we don't need every single thing that we declutter to be like, we're like, yay, I'm decluttering all of these things. And I'm just so happy because a lot of times we're worried that we're going to need something again one day. Or for me, I am a nostalgia person. Like I've got my quiz where I talk, there's like a lot of problems people have can fall into one of these categories: nostalgia, momentum, procrastination, and indecision. Now, for me, I often fall into nostalgia where I can literally attribute a feeling to just about anything. And with the when we're decluttering, so anything I declutter, I will be like, this reminds me of this. Now, do I have to be thrilled every time I declutter something? No. What I need to be is knowing that it's the right decision to make. So maybe there's a little bit of pain. That's okay. We don't want like a 9 or a 10 out of 10 pain when we're decluttering something because it is a sentimental thing. A 3 or a 4, a 3 out of 10, definitely I would be like, okay, this is not something I use, or this is something that I really loved for a long time, but now I have moved on. And yeah, it's a little bit sad to let it go, and that's okay. All right, let me look at the comments here. Oh, I love this idea. Running an out and in list since January 1st and shocked by all the ins, making progress nonetheless. Yes, I bet Amazon has something to do. Well, for me, we certainly do order from Amazon more than I like. Um, let's see. My husband has noticed how easy it is to find things since I've decluttered, and he is now putting things back. Yay! That's just the thing. It's like if, especially if your house isn't decluttered and people don't know where things go or there's not room to put things away, it can make a huge difference on how you are living in your home. Hi, I'm decluttering my house after my mom hoarded it. Yuck. So it's a battle zone of cleaning. It's so exhausting. Yes, that is, but you can do it bit by bit. Just keep working at it. Okay, Amelie has a question. My family traveled during Christmas and rent a house as we're a big family, but I find it so hard getting us installed and the rental gets so cluttered because I have a hard time finding things at home. What's your question though? That would be hard though, for sure. Yeah, I definitely think that that would be a challenge for sure, but just maybe clarify your question a bit. Um, I love that. Yesterday, I got rid of my pastry cutter that my grandma gave me 47 years ago. I have two. Yes, I need one. Love that. Good insights. I do use the pillowcases she made and do not store them in a closet in a bag. Awesome. Any tips about what to do about it? Molly says. Okay, so basically like how to keep it tidy and clean. One of the best things I would do when you're traveling and that's the thing. So I often will say that when I am in a hotel, I'm always really happy because I enjoy it. But that is like if it's just me and my husband, because both of us are very good at tidying up regularly. Before we go out, we often tidy. Before we go to bed, we tidy. We always are just like spending like 30 seconds cleaning up. And when we're with the kids, it's a different story. There's just so much more stuff. And yes, we are like trying to tidy, but there's so much stuff. And that's the thing. So basically, you have double the people in a space. So that means double or more the stuff in the space. So definitely being regular about or regularly tidying up, saying, like at lunchtime, tidy up. At dinner time, tidy up. Before bed, tidy up. And if you just make it like a very quick thing that you're working through, you will have very little work to do. So that would be one thing I would suggest. Of course, like you're going to bring as only the essentials that you need with you. Essentials are like my favorite thing. Like that is my minimalist light approach basically is like essentialism. What I use, I will keep. So I have a pasta maker because I use it. I love it. It's wonderful. Now, do you think like a bunch of the other minimalists that you watch on YouTube have a pasta maker? Maybe not, but I use mine. So of course I'm going to keep it. Like I'm not going to have less stuff just because like my goal is just to like always be like decluttering. No, like my whole goal for decluttering, and this is what I suggest for you, is just to be aware that when we declutter, we have we're doing it for the purpose of our stuff not taking over our lives. Your life is so important. And for the clutter in your home to be stressing you out, it just does not make any sense. It makes it makes no sense because then you just have all of this stuff that's stressing you out. Your stuff should never be stressing you out. So I really love the idea of just being aware that you're only bringing the essentials with you and then tidying up regularly. Stop traveling. No, don't stop traveling. I would never say stop traveling. Okay. Took a notebook. One side is out. Ooh, what do I have decluttered? Opposite pages in. Yes. And now Lindsay, when we were doing our podcast yesterday, she had said that at Christmas, anytime she brought something in, she decluttered two things, which I think is just a wonderful way to get things decluttered. Santa says, after moving, we have a lot of moving boxes. We now have a box in the shed for stuff to declutter. When it's full, it can be donated. Yes, just take a box bin or something like that, fill it up and donate. Absolutely. And a lot of people, they have a bag or a box on the go. So we have one right now in our garage, and it's just, and like when it's empty, or like, then we donate, or when it's full we go and donate it, and then we wait, and then as soon as I find something else to donate, start another bag, take it in. And when I was in my like really like minimizing stage, like I was going through the whole house and like, yep, we're going minimalist, there was a lot of stuff that had to be donated. And I was lucky because it was like just before COVID, like about a year before. And I was able to get this in Canada. We have diabetes that they come and pick up your stuff. And that was so helpful because they would just come and grab it. And then unfortunately, during COVID, like everybody was decluttering, which was great. But and also they weren't picking up because of what was going on. So it was then, yeah, then the garage was full, but that's okay because it's gone now. All right. Life changed after being an estate executor. Ooh. And we removed truckloads of items. That and consignment stores were a huge wake up call to both. Yes, the potential burden of our stuff and the money value. Absolutely. And when my dad died, which was 2 years ago, like my brother and I, we went to his house, and he was very sentimental too. And he really saw himself as the things came to him. He was the keeper of things. That's what he said. But he just lived with a lot of stuff around him. And really what my brother and I did was we went through any boxes. We, took some things, and I have some things out. Like if you've seen my typewriter and I have like a coffee grinder, I have things like I kept them. Those are sentimental things and I love them and I love to display them. And I have those out, but the rest of the stuff, we literally hired a company to come and take it away. I mean, is that what people want for their stuff? Probably not. And in the meantime, do you want to live with all that clutter? I don't think so. Getting rid of new clothes I just bought. They don't feel good. And make me feel bad about myself. Lesson learned, wasting money is very painful. I did that exact same thing, Susie. Christmas before last, we go to this other city to go and do this family thing. And I bought a couple of turtlenecks, didn't try them on. The colors were just so bad for my skin tone. I looked so washed out, and it was just not good. And I thought, like, I can't return them because it was from a different city. And it was, yeah, like lesson learned. But I also was like, I'm not keeping them just because. So that was nice. So one of the things, so I said today we were going to talk about, we would talk about the problems that people come across when they're decluttering so often, like the common struggles. And a lot of the times we are, oh, Kelsey's here. Yay. One of the things that we often run into is like our own mindset gets in our way. And I would say this is the biggest thing. Like so often we are like, oh, I just need more tips. And I am happy to help you with ideas for how to declutter and tips and just like lists of good things that you can declutter. I think that is just such a wonderful, wonderful thing. But there is more to it that a lot of the time we need. And I also think that it's so important to have a really strong vision of what you want your decluttered house to look like. And in the Inside Out challenge that we just finished, we created a vision for that home. So what you can do, because if you weren't in that, or even if you were, go ahead and just write down what you want your ideal space to look like. What vision do you have? What do you want to see? What do you not want to see? How do you want to feel? How do you want to feel when you walk through your door? This is one of the greatest ways that you can overcome this roadblock, is by just creating that vision, because so often we're decluttering and then we just come up against something and it just completely throws us off track. Awesome. That's true. And the thing is about tips is that you really don't need that many tips to declutter, right? So, number one, visualize your ideal space. So, I want you, after this call, like write down what you want your ideal space to look like. And then another thing I love to do when we're decluttering, now, this is a tip, is to use a timer. Now, this timer I use all the time. This is my time timer. Um, and I think it's wonderful. It has an alarm, but also not. But what's great about it is you can see how much time there is left just by glancing at it, which is absolutely lovely. And I love the idea of just setting a timer. Now, I have said this many times, but if you declutter just 30 minutes a day, that's 182 and a half hours a year. If you did 15 minutes a day, that's still 91 hours. 91 hours. If you did that just 15 minutes a day, could you get your whole home decluttered in 91 and a half hours? Quite or more than likely, as long as you're mindful about what you're bringing in. I love that. And another tip would be to limit decision-making time. Indecision can be such a major roadblock when we are decluttering, because if we're just humming and hawing about every single thing, that really slows us down. So knowing how to declutter, like asking the right questions. And I've got lots of videos about that. I've got like my downloads about that in the membership, the Untangled membership. The whole action phase is about how to declutter and the questions to ask and which room and what to declutter from there. And that's, it's so great. And so setting a time limit for making the decisions is absolutely huge. And if you're not sure, put things in the penalty box. I love the penalty box. I'm Canadian, and so, you know, a hockey reference just makes sense, even though thank God my husband and my family are not into hockey, because it's not that I hate it. I just don't want to watch it all the time. I grew up around way too much of it. So set your goal of I'm going to make a decision in 30 seconds or 10 seconds. I mean, really, if you pick it up and if you're not like, heck yes, I'm keeping this, then it is a no. If it's not a full body yes, then it's probably a no. I mean, like if I pick up my camera that I use for making videos and I can be like, yes, immediately. I'm like, of course, I'm not going to declutter that. All right, let's see. My timer is a little green frog. Frogs can only go forward. Oh, I love it. Maureen says, I love my timer. Just downloaded an app, Habitica, where it makes your tasks into a game. Oh, that's fun. Decision fatigue is no joke. I'm so glad that you love that timer. Oh, yes. Yeah, that they do have different colors on that timer for sure. Watching from England. Woohoo. Okay. So those are two ways that you can overcome your decluttering roadblocks, right? Like indecision, limiting decision-making time, visualizing your ideal space, using a timer. I guess that's 3. Math. Another one that is huge is celebrating progress. Acknowledge and just celebrate your achievements, no matter how small. Now, have you been around this channel for any length of time, you know tea is my reward for everything. I reward myself with tea, and legit, I see it as a reward. Now, some people, they might not, and I completely understand. My mug is dying. I'm putting it on the coaster. Yeah, I love that maybe you're like, that's not doing it for me. And I get that. Maybe you want to like go out for lunch, or because when you start decluttering, you're going to save a lot of money. Because you're going to be more mindful about what you're buying. When you buy something, you're going to say, where am I going to put that? Do I really need this? All of the questions. So how are you going to reward yourself? Maybe you're going to reward yourself literally by buying a sweater because you just decluttered a bunch of sweaters and you were like, oh, I actually kind of want one that is a good color for me. Maybe not. I mean, I don't always tell people to buy things to celebrate, but sometimes for me, one of the things I was doing was purchasing workout equipment like clothes, because sometimes I would be like, I need another sports bra or something like that. Just be very careful. anytime you're celebrating. And when I say celebrating, like every day, I'll be like, hey, I decluttered for 15 minutes. Now it's time for a cup of tea. But if you're like, I just decluttered my garage, maybe we're ordering takeout for dinner. I think that's a great one too. All right, let's see. My mom has a duo timer, the little bird from Duolingo. Oh, I didn't know they had a timer. How you deal with a spouse who doesn't think any clothes should be decluttered, even if they haven't been worn for a long time. Okay, so I wonder if Lindsay's still here. We talked about this in the podcast that we recorded yesterday, and that one I think is coming out. I'm not sure if it's next or this week or next week, but the one of the things that I often suggest when we're decluttering is not to declutter other people's stuff. So, and you might be like, yeah, but I want them to declutter. I totally get that. What you need to do or consider doing when you're decluttering is to declutter, go through everything you need to make a decision about, declutter everything you can, go through common items between the two of you as long as they're not super bothered by it. Just go ahead, of course, like asking, their thoughts about certain things. Don't worry about their stuff until there is the time to do it. The podcast is called Minimalist Home, and you can look it up on any podcast player. And it's also on YouTube. So maybe you have been seeing it. I put it out on YouTube on Thursdays. So really, the point is, don't worry about his stuff. Declutter everything of yours before you look at that. And then one of the things that has worked best for me is number one, being very aware of my husband's moods. So if I want him to help me with something or do something, I need to make sure Lindsay would use the word rapport. I think like that we're in a really good mood. Everybody's happy. Like everybody's getting along. We're not, there's no negative feedback. We're not like being snippy with each other or, how sometimes you're just kind of having a weird day. Not a good time to bring that up. And you could just say like, hey, I just say, here's an example of what I would maybe do if I was going to try to get my husband. And I will say my husband was not on board with a lot of this stuff to initially begin with. And now he is. Now he is basically like he probably would get rid of more stuff than I would at this point. So that's good. Like he got on board. He joined me. I didn't drag him along. He joined me on the journey. And so if it was me, I would just make sure like we were having a great day. Everything was good. He was like fed. He was like rested. Like I would not be asking him to do things right before, when he's hungry or whatever. And I know it sounds funny, but you have to like kind of think just on a primal level, like how people are. Are they hungry, angry, lonely, tired? Right. And then I would say, I got some clothes that I'm going to take down to the donation place. Did you want to see if there's any maybe that you don't fit or that you don't wear? Maybe you've noticed I have so much more space on my side of the closet. It's really nice. If that person never declutters their clothes, but the rest of your house is decluttered, I would call that a win, really. Yeah, and that's just it, right? The decluttering bug takes over. Yes. Yes, my hubby he's pretty good at this point. Like, but at the same time, like if I said to him right now, like he's sick, he's got the flu, or he's, still slowly recovering. I mean, this guy, let me tell you, it would take him a while to like I couldn't just say, "Hey, let's go and declutter your clothes right now." Like, no, he would have to be in the mood. Lindsay says this, try to connect. Yes, connect first. You gotta check out her. She is just a genius. Trying to become a minimalist. Should I declutter other things than physical things? Things on my agenda? What do you recommend? Yes, I do. 100% declutter anything that is not serving you. If you have commitments to things that are not serving you, especially like if you're at a time of like right now, I am at a time of life where I'm really busy and I know my family wants me to like host a Christmas dinner. I'm not going to do it right now. It's just not serving me. And I appreciate where they're all coming from. I do. But I have to say, at this stage in life, I'm not going to do that. So that is something that I have like temporarily decluttered. I 100% agree that you should declutter physical thing or non-physical things too. Habits that we're doing. And actually, that brings me to the very next question. And thank you for bringing that up so much, Amelie, because another thing that you can do to overcome your decluttering barriers is to ask yourself what needs to change so that you can reach your decluttering goals. So, what needs to change? What habits that you have do you need to change? Because what got you to your decluttered space is not going to get you to your decluttered space. Your shopping habits, and I'm not saying like you guys are or anybody. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. Like for me, before, if I was going to buy something, I would buy it, and then later I would decide where it was going to go. Now I always, with the exception of one thing that I just bought, know exactly where it's going to go and will declutter something in its place usually. Now, as a quick aside, my son just got braces and he was so sad and his mouth was so sore. And I just on a whim, because my friend Becky from Acre Homestead, she bought a Ninja Creamy, and it makes like personal ice cream. And I was like, I'm going to buy it. And I just bought it. But then I was like, okay, I mean, I still had chance that I could cancel it. And I said, where's it going to go? Am I decluttering something in its place? And yes, I know exactly where it's going. It's going where the current ice cream maker goes. And that is going because we don't need a thing to make big ice cream. The little Ninja Creamy is perfect for our family. And what's good, I can either donate that, somebody can get it for a super cheap price, or I can sell it on Facebook and somebody can get it for a super cheap price. But usually, almost always, I am like, this is going to go here. I have room for this. If I am going to buy another sweater, I am like, for sure going to make sure that I declutter at least one or two articles of clothing before I put that. So when you are looking at overcoming your decluttering obstacles, what needs to change? As Amelie brought up, what needs to change? Something beyond your physical stuff needs to change. The way that you're living your life, and I'm not saying you're living your life badly. I'm just saying something needs to change. Like you're going to need to make some changes with how you're approaching things, how you're approaching shopping, how you're approaching, your day-to-day life. If you're going to actually get it done, you're going to need to put the time in. And like I said, 15 minutes a day is 91 hours a year. That's a lot of time. You could declutter your whole house as long as you're making your decisions and you're going through it. Yes, like I love that. So what needs to change? You need to and anchor it to something, right? So how are you going to get that done? I really really appreciate that we have to look at our life and say some things need to change. I'm not saying you need to change the person you are, but a few little tweaks bit by bit to get things done. And like I said about like celebrating progress. Now, if you find that you get hung up a lot when you're decluttering, like you just keep coming up against roadblock after roadblock, you might have a mindset problem, which I brought up before. And that's exactly why I am so passionate about helping people. And that is what I talk about on this channel so much. And I have had a lot of people looking at my Untangled membership because the doors are open again. And there are some questions. And people, what you might not realize is if you're spending years to declutter and decades, like if you think about it, if you're decluttering your house, that should not take years. That should not. I mean, 1 year even, I think is great if you're like slow and steady, but you shouldn't be spending years. And for me, what I used to always be like is I'm just going to organize. I just need to organize. And you can't organize clutter, right? And so if you're spending years and years and years, you need to ask yourself, like, when is this going to be done? Like, can you join the Untangled membership? And I have it so that there's a monthly program, but I signed up. There's 6 and 12 months, which are heavily discounted because it's going to take time. It took time to get that clutter. It's going to take time to get rid of it. And what's good is you can work on the mindset stuff first. That's the very first part of it. And there are ladies who are in the membership who are here right now who can say that they like it. And some of the things that get in people's ways is belief. So like my dad said, I'm the keeper of things. My mom, lessons from family. My mom, when she was growing up, both of her parents grew up during the depression. My mom's a baby boomer, and she's like, you keep things for good. Decluttering was not a thing. Like, she had this bucket, this bowl, this bean pot, she called it, and she would, every year it would get filled up with little trinkets, little this, little that, like business cards, whatever. You can imagine. I know you know. And she would just put it in an ice cream bucket, and then it would stack up at the bottom of the stairs. So that was a lesson from family. Habits, shopping when you're sad. That's what I realized I actually was drawn to when we dropped our son off at university. I didn't even realize it, but I immediately just logged on to a website and started looking at clothes, and I thought, "Ooh, okay." So that's one of the things. When you are going to declutter, there's something that is stopping you. Where do you stop? Do you stop in the same place? How do we overcome stopping in the same place? And this is one of the things we talk about in the membership. And this is it can really hold people down. You cannot declutter your house if you don't deal with these things that your brain is stopping you. Your subconscious is like, I'm uncomfortable with this change. So that's one of the big things that we handle is like how to get over those mindset blocks, like habits, beliefs, patterns, the generational lessons that are stopping you from decluttering. So many people, they grew up with not enough. So now we can buy things, right? Like when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of money. I heard we can't afford this a lot. So if I can buy something, that for a long time, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and buy that. So there's the mindset phase. The action phase is where we get into the how to declutter every room. I give you my whole system and really overcoming a lot of the challenges in those, like environmental and do I need to go minimalist, all of that. And then the momentum phase, just to keep you on track. Like one of the people here right now is in the momentum phase. She is just working at it and it is awesome. And we also have a group coaching call every month, which is alive, and you can come to it. It's actually a Zoom call, so you can come on and ask your questions, and I will have a topic. There's one coming up on the 16th, which is going to be super fun. And we have our Facebook group. I love our Facebook group. And actually, I think Meg, who is here, she started Team 15. She just said, if the 15-minute thing I said, she was like, if I post here every day, the 15 minutes I'm spending, and they will go on there. And actually, CJ, she's the one that named it Team 15. So it's fun. It's fun. I totally suggest that you guys join. There's the link. Let me see. Let me look. The mindset work in Untangled is amazing. Oh my gosh, that feels so good. So you can join it today. The doors are open and it is super duper fun. I think it is worth it because you are going to save a ton of money just with your shopping habits alone, and you're going to get it done. Like this will get you to the end results of getting your home clean. In fact, and declutter. One of the ladies, she signed up. She left because she got her house like completely decluttered, which makes me so happy. Amelie says it's taking me time because I'm not consistent about getting the kids engaged in daily pickups. Oh my gosh. Yes. So one of the things I will say to do is a reminder. And I know people are like, oh, everybody said you just got to do it. Like that's what I need to do is I put reminders on my phone and I will just be like 7 o'clock, pick up stuff. And then it's easy to just say like, okay, it's time. Let's just like get that done. Um, Let me see. I see some people talking about the creamy. Okay. I love it. I was gifted a lot of face cream for Christmas, and now I told myself you're not buying anything new before this is used. Good for you. And I really like that picture. That's a great picture, Sandy. Can barely see it, but it's there. Thank you, Kim. I love seeing you ladies showing up. If I see something or become aware of something, I can declutter. I try to do it now. Yes. Don't wait since I've already gotten rid of it in my head. Yes. I love that. The other thing is like, don't put stuff down. Well, this is one thing, and I would suggest this to Amelie if you're like, how do I keep like my vacation homes clean or whatever? Don't put stuff down. And I was actually chatting with Lisa on her podcast today about this, where I said like, I was canning some food, and instead of just like carrying it all the way downstairs, I left it at the top of the stairs. Like, no, don't put it down. Then you have to touch it twice. Like, you're literally wasting your own time. Absolutely. Blessing others. Yes, yes, yes. Um, we had my stuff, his stuff. When his mom died, we got her stuff. Yes. And that is a very interesting thing is people, they get other people's stuff because number one, people will say, oh, I've got this box. I went through these things. I thought you might need it. It's very common with like young couples and things, which quite often they might. So what you need to do, thank you for the box, take it, decide what you want, and then donate the rest. Donate the rest. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yes, Meg has. She has been putting the pictures up. Hello from Alabama. When do you know when you've minimized enough? Whoop. You know when you feel like good in your home and you're like, my home is decluttered. This feels really, really good. Um, and for me, it's a work in progress. Like stuff is still coming in. And here's the thing, our Vitamix died, like our blender. So a little tip, I don't even know how many booklets it came with. I don't need to keep this one start here, but what I'm going to do with this, I made this mistake before of decluttering all new books because thinking, oh, it's online. There was one thing where it was not, and that was a pressure canner, which is not good because for a pressure canner, you need instructions for safety reasons. And I managed to track it down. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find this and then I'm going to add it to the whatever it's called in the iPhone, iBooks or whatever. Then it's on my phone and I can declutter that. So when you know you're done, it's when you feel like you're done, but it is an ongoing process is my point. Yeah. And that's just it. So I often use the word anchoring. Um and with kids, I mean the morning is I not often going to work for a lot of people, but evening after school, depending on the kid, my kids, they just want to relax after school. But after dinner, I think is a great one because people are already kind of in motion. So you could say, like, okay, now it's time to pick up. And then you can go and like relax and then you'll have your snack or whatever. I was never that great at schedules for my kids. Oh, I tried. And I feel so much better about myself now that I know I have ADHD because I just felt so bad. I was like, I can never keep a schedule. Blah, 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 blah. Now, thanks to my phone, there's like reminders all over the place. Only handle it once. Yeah. Mhm. Ladies, we've been chatting. I assume it's all ladies for 48 minutes. Does anybody have any questions before we go? Yes, you are teaching a life skill to your kids, but I'm going to tell you, some of them are just never going to learn. My oldest, he is like, God bless that child. He's just kind of naturally messy, but we did our best. We did our best. All right. I'm looking if there's any questions. Put a question mark and like just throw it up there if you have one coming. You're welcome. I've started a blog. It's at minimalisthome.ca and it's super fun. So I'm going to write a blog post after this and I'm super excited. You're welcome to check it out. But I'm just killing time waiting to see. Okay, I don't see any questions coming in. So we've had a lovely chat. Join the membership. The doors are open. I really love to see people coming in there. Every time somebody signs up, I'm like, I am so excited for you because you're going to take charge of your life. It's up to you, but you can do it. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching. Oh, wait. You doing okay with that YouTube drama? Thank you for asking. I am. It seems like it's improved a lot. I privated that one video somebody had asked a question about. I don't know if that made a difference, but it seems to have helped. Oh, that's a good idea. Before nap and then before bed pickups. That's great. Gosh, naps are the best, aren't they? All right, everybody. Thank you so much